Welcome back to the Storypunks podcast. This is episode 56. It's part 2 of 2, and I have Sage and Savant on the show with me. Creators Louise Clark and Chip Clark will continue sharing their insight about what it's been like to create this very popular steampunk time travel adventure, and I am so excited to share the rest with you. I always am. This one is particularly close to my heart because I've been on the podcasting journey myself, and I know a lot of you are interested in this, whether you're starting out or you're in the depths of trying to sort it all out or whatever. Some of you have requested that I create a resource for my experience as a podcaster, and I definitely have things to share. I've really ironed out, for example, my mobile recording approach, and I know how to do that so much better, and so many other things. I will be sharing that through my Patreon group over at patreon.com/storypunks. As we end this season, I want to point you to these two and all the great advice they're providing. Also, you can find the Discord link that Louise mentions, and where they talk about their setup, and you can reach out to them and really, learn from these veterans of what to do, what not to do, how to do it on a budget, and all that good stuff. So they are an amazing resource, and I hope you will take advantage of that. I also love that they are into the audio, drama, or performance side of storytelling, and they have so much more to share, so I'm truly excited to get into that. And I think I've updated you pretty well over the last few episodes. So without further ado, let's get right back into this and learn more about and from these amazing creatives who have several other projects and endeavors you may not already know about. Even if you love the Sage and Savant show, here we go. Okay, so you mentioned the monthly schedule. Will you talk about that? Maybe talk about some of the intense work that goes into this. That will probably illustrate why it's a monthly show. But has the monthly schedule been the best for producing this?
It has been. That's one of those things that if we knew better, we find that a lot of podcasts pre-record a whole season and then release.
Oh, if only.
Next time, that's what we'll do. But we started on the monthly, and at first it seemed not a big deal. But the longer it went, the more intense my story arcs got, the more I kind of dove into the serious subtext in places, and the more complicated it became. So basically, writing a script is 6 hours hard time. But that can only come after I've done the research, because we're both history nuts, and I don't want to put out some Pompeii, for example, that isn't true to the history of what happened in Pompeii.
As we know it now.
As we know, yeah.
Right. So in the Vikings, it's really interesting that we were able to put some things in the Viking episode which they didn't know in the Victorian time frame, but we were able to add because it goes, look, we know this now. So let's allow the characters to explore something that they didn't know.
And
so
probably
that's important.
Single-handedly, thanks to my grandsons, I have a lot of teen listeners. Because my grandsons have kind of roped in all their friends in Portland to listen. And I don't want kids that are in school that are studying history to hear something on my podcast which is fallacious. So when we do history, I research it to make sure that I'm right.
Which then adds to the time.
And that adds to the time. So whenever I'm done with the script, then it's off to Chip.
Okay. Then we pull a cast together, and they're not all in the same location. They were for part of season 2, but one of our cast has moved to Florida. So we'll read through with the whole cast.
Zoom, like this.
Yeah. And so we plug everybody in, we get everything in, we go through the first read through when we make any comments. at that point, Eddie then makes some quick edits. Sometimes we've had the luxury of going, oh, okay, well, you know what? This was just the read through. She's going to actually have another week to rewrite, and then we'll get together next week to do the temp recording. Most of the time, that's not the case. So we then go, okay, we've done the read through. We then do a temp recording, and that temp recording is used to give an outline for everybody else's track.
And the nice thing about doing that with all of us live is that we can act off of each other. Then when we're in the booth by ourselves, we have the headphones with the other person's voice to help us give our cues.
We hear a lot about animated cartoons and the fact that an actor will sit in a room and just do their lines. And it's like, wow. Having done a fair amount of live theater, I like having the voices to respond. The fact that Emily in Florida takes the track and then adds all these little vocalizations that aren't in the script, but I include in the recording because here we are. Then it sounds like the two people are actually engaging in a conversation. And that's really important to have that feel for me. So anyway, we've done that. The first day is about 3, maybe 4 hours, and we get the narrator's track done at the same time. Then there's the recording of it. It's probably another 2 or 3 hours of getting everybody
for all the rest of the characters
put in.
Oh, easily.
And then I sit down, and it's lining everything up and finding all the sound effects, and it's between 6 to 10 hours. Depending upon how outlandish we get.
I don't make his job easy. I once had a script with a cobblestone street and horses and carriages going by in front of a livery stable where there was a donkey in the livery stable hee-hawing and a big, hay wagon to deliver hay.
And there was a woman, and he talks about, the narrator actually mentions the woman's dress swishes by and almost knocks our character over. So I have all of these sounds that kind of need to be layered in them. So that's done. And then the insanity of it is, being a composer of music, I decided in season 2 to start doing a full soundtrack. So every episode has 30 to 40 minutes worth of music.
Through composed music for the whole thing.
And it's composed for every episode. So it isn't like, oh, well, I'll just reuse this tune. I do bring back themes because if, for example, Claude Duvall is a character that we transmigrate to several times. So in the episode where we first meet Claude Duvall, I have several themes for him. I've got when he's being a highwayman, or when there's interaction with Dr. Sage. That's all happening. But then in the next time we go back, I bring back some of those themes so that it's relevant to that. But again, it's new music. It's 10 hours worth of stuff. So, for example, this last episode was out on the 1st, and fortunately, the weekend was the 30th and the 31st, and that's what my weekend was kind of going, I have all the sounds, now just put it together on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'll compose music.
One other really fun tidbit, now that he's mentioned music, we have based the main show theme around the Dies Irae. And I don't know if you know what the Dies Irae is, but it's the Latin tune for the funeral, for the dead.
Dies irae, dies irae, da 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 da.
Every major composer since Bach and Handel.
No, every major composer since we've had people composing
the Mass. But I mean, in people's easy memory, when you look at their requiems, so like if you pull up Mozart's Requiem Mass, you'll hear the Dies. And so that's just kind of a fun nod to the history of music and, dead people.
It is the theme for death.
That's pretty cool because it's nice to have these common things that thread through this whole fantastical time traveling adventure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool. Okay, anything else with process? Because I'm already super fascinated with everything you've said. It's a lot to take in, but what is
Okay,
there anything?
once we've done that and the show has gone live, I'm also the social media person. So April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, and I still have some to do tonight, tomorrow, and the next day, is scheduling. And yes, we schedule a fair amount of our tweets and Facebook posts to go out. But then throughout the rest of the month, every time someone engages with something, it's going, oh, yeah, I have to respond to that, or, oh, let me find some information. So that's a whole month's worth just to kind of get what did we talk about on this episode.
The other thing I think that we do for process is if you're doing time travel. We have a show Bible which details our characters and our world. That's very common for most shows. But appended to that is a series of worksheets, Excel spreadsheets that have on this date, the doctor went to that date and she stayed for this long. And especially with my reoccurring characters where, as Chip mentioned, she goes back to Claude Duval more than once. We have Wei Boyang, who is an actual immortal of the Chinese Tao, and we have him many times, but he's living straightforward. So I have to know the first time they met him versus the second time they met him versus the third time they met him.
But it's more than that.
And it's where did he think they were?
It's
right.
The first time they all met. The second time Wei Boyang
and
meets
Savant
them,
met.
But that isn't, there was a time that
Wei Boyang meeting the doctor and the professor, which they haven't happened yet for them. So I have to keep track of all this time crossing.
For anyone who's not watching the YouTube video, you must, because they're doing some pretty amazing hand gestures to represent the timeline.
Yeah.
Well, and it gets even more convoluted because we travel into other bodies. We have taken the tack that when you hear Dr. Sage or Professor Savant, you are hearing our voices. So when we travel into the bodies of pirates, she is actually a male, but we don't have a male reader. We have her voice so that the audience knows.
So they always know who is Dr. Sage and who is.
I like that.
But then in the end of season 2, we have a character who was voiced by our narrator, Cunningham. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Sage has transmigrated into Cunningham's body. So we had Justin read Cunningham's lines, and then Eddie was listening to that line while she was saying it for the recording. And
so that it's my voice together, but his inflection. It was really a cool effect.
And then even worse, we have poor Abigail, Emily, I should say, who travels into a character who is also done by another character. So she's having to remember, am I this person in this body or am I that person in this body?
So,
Yeah, just basic storytelling.
We have spreadsheets to keep it all straight.
Yeah, I would need a spreadsheet for that. Absolutely. Okay, well, I have an audience member question. So this came through my newsletter. If anyone listening would like to submit a question for an upcoming guest, for example, I advertised the last 2 weeks in my newsletter, hey, I'm going to be interviewing Sage and Savant. What do you want me to ask them? So sometimes I get questions, sometimes I don't. I know people are busy, but I know that everyone listening is probably thinking of things you would like to contribute if we were just chatting with you wherever you are. So feel free to.
We're happy to answer any questions you have on Twitter.
Yes, do that because they're very accessible. So absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. So that's where this audience member question came from. And this person wished to remain anonymous. Do you ever perform live shows? And if so, do you reenact an episode or create something unique for that live show? And have you found one way that works better than the other?
Live shows are kind of their own beast.
Particularly because we do the sound effects for the show.
We bring the Foley and do live Foley. So we have an event in San Francisco every year that Hazas come in and do. The first year was at the end of season 1. So I wrote a special episode. They traveled into the future and ended up on the Titanic. So it was great fun. We got to sink the ship and lots of water effects and the Foley sounds and stuff like that. But it was hard for the cast because keeping track of the script and also trying to do all the Foley sounds was really difficult.
Oh, yeah. My goodness.
So the second year, Chip came up with the idea to do the San Francisco 1906 earthquake and fire.
Again, the first show that we did live that year was going to be in San Francisco. We thought, oh, well, they'll love this. It'll be in San Francisco and the earthquake. It's got lots of sounds that we can do.
But all the sounds are kind of grouped. There's, bricks and rocks and rubble and breaking boards, and then there's
the horse
fire.
Wagons that are running, trying to bring fire equipment to the various places.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that helped in that episode. But now we're in season 3, and we went, wow, if we start doing things that are relevant to season 3, anybody who hasn't seen the show will go, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what this transmigration is, and they've traveled to a new place.
And the shows become very interlaced and complicated.
So we took a different tack, and we actually did a recap or highlights of season 1. I liked that show. I think in terms of an audience, that the audience really got a chance. People, and we had a number of people in the audience who were diehard fans, and they were going, oh, I loved hearing that scene, because I love that scene.
So I think we're going to kind of stick with that, overview recap thing, because fans that had watched it liked seeing it live. Fans that didn't know us then, they could have walked away from that show and started with the first episode in season 2 and known where they were.
And sometimes this is a community thing. Like sometimes people are listening as a group, and so they need to catch up to where everybody else is.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think the other thing to point out in terms of doing a live show, again, because we do all of the Foley, not all Foley that we do is the sounds that we would actually use, but it's more that we do things that are visually funny. So we did things in the Titanic, which had a lot of water, and the audience was rolling. We were drenched when it was done. May not have been the best sound if we were trying to record it live, but it was visually funny, and that was the point.
I love that. It's so creative. I love how seriously nerdy you guys have gotten. That's terrible English. I shouldn't say gotten.
No, yeah, well,
you've taken this to a good level.
we did a scene from Pompeii, and there was a baker, and unfortunately, so to do a baker, we had a little baker's hat. So I put the baker's hat so the audience would know that I was not Professor Savant, but I was actually this baker, and I came up with an Irish accent. And then it's like, oh, the baker's in Ireland. Well, no, I'm going to do a very bad Italian accent. No, that wasn't Italian. I don't know what that was. But, it is the show.
And that's one of the fun things about live shows. Again, we're not trying to be perfect theater. We're trying to be perfectly ourselves. And that means, stupid stuff that happens.
I love that. Well, okay, so speaking of stupid stuff that happens, what are some things that you've seen creators do when creating audio drama that you feel they should avoid? So there's a lot that happens that maybe we don't have to worry so much about, and it almost adds character. But do you have any pet peeves or lessons learned that people could avoid?
Lessons learned? Oh, don't set your show with a time traveling person who can go anywhere on Earth, because you're going to want to go. And the sound is different everywhere you go.
You drive your Foley person absolutely insane. Yes, yeah.
No, truthfully, I know shows that have like 4 or 5 sound engineers. If you have that, go crazy. But try and choose a setting for your show that works with what your actual resources are. Because I married the Superman, and that's it. I have him.
No, yeah, it's your story, my love.
But I think
the thing that I would add to that is record your show long ahead of before you want to produce, before you put out in the public. Record your show. Put it on a device, like your phone, put it in your headphones, put it in a way that you can listen to it in your car, put it on your speakers at your home, and then go, how can we improve that? There are so many things. If you have a professional sound engineer, they'll know what some of those questions and how to do some of that stuff.
But if, like us, you're an amateur, just test it. In all the different possible ways that you listen to podcasts, listen to your own podcast all those different ways too.
I think the thing that, and in that regard, I did some music in season 1 that when I heard it on the car, because we were listening to it in the car as we were driving somewhere anyway, and I was like, you can't hear the music at all. You can't hear it at all. I mean, I didn't want it to overdo the voices, but I would have thought that this music that I spent hours working on would have at least showed up, but it didn't. But then we listened to it at home and it's like, oh yeah, I couldn't have had it much louder or I would have covered the voices. So it's really getting to know your system.
Oh, absolutely.
But then the other thing is, I would say from a writer's standpoint, get an outline. Spend some time with your story and think, what's your beginning, your middle, and your end? You can have as many episodes in between those points as you want to have. But if you at least know those points, then you won't meander in your writing kind of the way I did at the beginning.
And the last point, there are so many great people in the podcast community. Get to know them, talk to them. Absolutely. They'll share their wisdom with you. We didn't. We started this and kind of went, oh, well, we'll just put it out there. We don't know who else is out there and didn't try having any conversations with anyone. And it's really just been the last year that we found so many people going, oh, you can do this and you can do that. And it's like, really? Wow.
So many directions you can take it in. So,
well, and I'd like to say right here, for any of your listeners that might be planning to do something, hit me up on Twitter. I'll connect you with people and I'll help whatever I can, because, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And people take her up on that. So, okay, unless we've already covered it, where do you hope that these punks take the world? Like, where do you hope steampunk? I mean, I know we did talk about this at the beginning, but is there anything else that you've learned from creating this steampunk show and this retro futuristic show? And what would you like to see the world do with these genres or anything along these lines?
One of the things that's really come clear to me writing this show, by writing Chip's character, he's a professor of archaeological ephemera, which is basically the guy who looks at the little stuff. And it made me realize how much little stuff affects the big stuff in our worlds. So what I'd like is for punk to put pressure on those little places where nobody else is thinking about it, but we do something and it changes it. And punks are good at kind of looking outside of the main narrative. So we just need to do more of that, bring about the world we want to live in.
Because that's the only way it's going to come about. And don't be afraid of those little details that make That's the bubble that makes the wave, because that's the point. You've got to make those waves or nothing changes.
Oh my goodness. So well said. I just loved absorbing the energy that you guys have put forth to just this conversation, let alone your show. And I appreciate that so much. Thank you for making a difference and making those changes.
It's 39 years. We've been together for a long time. There's a lot of passion that comes in there. But Eddie writes a lot of passion into the characters, and she's very passionate about the story that she's telling. And that comes across, and that affects all the characters, all the people who are working on the show. That enthusiasm for where are we going. She likes the joke that we're the hey kids, let's do a show. But it's more than that. It's that sense of like, yeah, not only we're going to do the show, let's fly to the moon. Why not? We can. The rocket's not fully built in the backyard, but it's on its way.
And that's the thing about punks. We're like Karaticus Potts in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. We have a head full of crazy ideas and a garage full of tools, and we're going to put them to use.
I'm so glad you brought up Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Karaticus Potts is my hero. Are you kidding?
That's totally it. We're building the airplanes in flight.
Yeah.
And that's what podcasting is. I really think so. So, especially the audio drama level, thank you again. This has been so illuminative. Where would you like people to go for more information? You've mentioned Twitter. Anywhere else?
SageandSavant.com has all the episodes. It also has the historical information and a lot of the bits that we include. It's probably the best single place.
If you're not on Twitter and you still want to get a question out, though, I'm Eddie at SageandSavant.com. He's Chip at SageandSavant.com. It's pretty easy. So shoot us an email, hit us up on Twitter or on Facebook. We have a Sage and Savant page on Facebook, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
So good. Thank you so much. And until I speak with you again, have a wonderful evening.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Okay, a lot of amazing stuff in these past 2 episodes. Aren't Eddie, Louise, and Chip an amazing examples of what can be done when you pool your creative visions and really get serious about something that you want to share with the world and with the steampunk community specifically? I really love how they've pulled this off and how they continue to deliver an amazing show and adventure. And if you haven't already, please go check it out. And I also want to mention, some people have asked me this, so I just want to, in case other people are wondering, last season we made it through 30 episodes. This season we'll do the same. So that's the goal. We'll end on episode 60. And so next week we'll have episode 57, and then we're getting close to the end. So let me just kind of tell you what the show will be like as we go into the next season. During that off season, originally I was going to have the salon, the reading group, but we have actually canceled that, as mentioned in previous episodes. So instead, what I'm going to do is continue that vlog that I mentioned. So if after these episodes are done, you're looking for more content, then please go to patreon.com/storypunks, and you can find the vlog playlist. So until episode 57, I hope you have a wonderful week, and please remember that the only rule is to keep going with whatever you're creating.